So today we're going to do another website teardown, and this time I have once again just done a Google search for recruitment agencies, this time from London. So congratulations on LJB and Co Construction Recruitment, because they came up on the first page. And when I hit this site, it was another one of those ones where I thought, you know, it's not terrible by any means, it really isn't, but there's just seems to be a lot of little quick wins that I hope are going to add up to something a lot bigger. So again, I'm going to see what I can get done in approximately 10 minutes. If I think it's worth it, I might keep going and do a little bit more. So let's get started. Okay, first off, I find this top section a little bit busy. There's lots of lines, shadows, gradients, colors, images, lots of kind of general stuff to kind of look at, and I just wonder if that can be reduced and pared down a little bit. So let's go from the top. I think the logo, I'm just going to leave that as it is for the minute. The next thing I see is these two links. Now they're not lined up for a start, so I'm just going to have a look at that and see if there's anything I can do to tighten that up. That's a little bit better, isn't it? Okay. Now, controversial, I know, but I'm actually going to remove the underline. And it's controversial because it can be an accessibility issue. I know a lot of people won't like that, but I think in body text, I know that I would obviously underline links, but I'm not one for having to underline every single link. For example, menu items are very rarely underlined. Now, tidier already, I hope. I'd actually really like it if that maybe lined up with the text, the quick send CV text as well, and just keep that all in line. Let me see how I might be able to do that. So there looks like there's some padding, margin top there. I wonder if I can just... Yes, I do want to give it some space there too. How about there? Does that look about right? Does that look right to anybody? It's about right visually. Once again, I think I'm going to get rid of these because I would be surprised if the first thing that you wanted someone to do when they landed on your site was to go to your Google Plus profile page, for example. I just don't think these are that important. The exception to that is probably LinkedIn, as it is a recruitment site. So I would potentially leave LinkedIn there. I probably would move that over beside these two icons and then have this quick send CV one to the right, but for the sake of a bit of speed, I am just going to ditch this. There we go. Okay, so what else is there in the header? I quite like the red line along the top, although it doesn't seem to match up with the brand, but that's okay. Yeah, that's interesting. There's a lot of red here, and there's no red in the logo, but that's just, I'm not going to change the entire color scheme. Let's have a look. I just want to check out the background color of this. It looks like there could be like some kind of gradient to it, which, as we all know, I'm not a fan of. There was, yeah, didn't like that. So that's gone, which is good. And then I also don't really like this drop shadow. No, I'm not 100% against shadows. I would want it to be a lot more subtle if it was there at all. But for now, I'm just going to get rid of it. And I think that tidies that up a whole lot. It's probably could do with a little bit of space around the top as well. I mean, it doesn't need to be, again, it doesn't need to be this compressed. I wonder if I can. So I'm just going to add a little bit of top margin to this, just to give the logo a little bit more space. Let me just go like that. Oh, I like that better already. But then to balance that out, I'm going to have to bring the nav down again as well. just to give that also a little bit of top space. Let's see, the best place to do that would be probably here. And then, so I gave it 10 pixels, so I'm just going to give this an extra 10 as well. And there we go. A little bit more space up here now. I'm liking that. That's cool. Okay, so then we get to this hero slider. First off, I don't like sliders. Nobody wants to sit and watch a carousel of rubbish images and text. So I would probably ditch that. I do understand. They're trying to show off all the different sectors. Like if I flick through this, it actually auto plays, but I've paused it. So yeah, I mean, not a huge fan of it. And one of the reasons is that this is just really kind of muddy. This white text on this transparency grey background, it just don't think it works. So a couple of things. Let's get this bumped up in size a little bit because it just doesn't have enough oomph for me. So we've done that, and let's give that a little margin bottom. What can we do? 50, that's better than nothing. I think I'd probably like that to be bold as well, but it's okay. I'll leave it for now. Right, this background. So we need to do something. So either we need to darken the background, in which case the red isn't going to stand out as much, or we need to lighten this background and probably use some dark text, because at the minute it's just not working the way it is. I think I'll err on the side of making the text dark. So what color are they using for their body text? Let's just have a little look at that. Right, I am going to replace that with a dark color. Obviously that looks terrible right now. And then I need to grab the whole background. And again, it's a background. At the minute it's a background image, which is kind of weird. But let's use a color, and let's go with so it would be something like this. I mean, it's okay. I also don't really love the position of it, and I don't like the way that is right aligned. That might do for now. Let me just change the margin again. And okay, so construction jobs. And this text, I would say, is probably slightly on the small side. Let's just find out where that's happening. And if I go find, I'm going to look for font size. I'm going to look in here. 15 pixel font. I'd probably like to see that at least at 16. I think that's a little bit better. Oh, how's that looking? Okay. It's a blue border. Not sure about it, but I think I'm going to leave it for now. Okay, moving on for the time being. I might come back to this section quickly. There's a pattern here that I'm not a fan of. So we've got this kind of gradient background again, so I'd like to ditch that. But then there's this kind of bottom red border. It's hard, I'm not quite sure why, but I just feel like that's going to look a whole lot better on the top, that border. It's actually done as a shadow, which is interesting. Box top. So if let me just try to manipulate this so that it goes in the other direction. Okay, I personally think that looks a lot better. It might even look better with blue. The problem with the blue and red, they're both quite bold, striking colors, and I just worry that it would just kind of look too colorful. It's borderline too colorful anyway. But there we go. So again, we've got these gradients. I mean, I'm just going to ditch them. Maybe this person just has a thing for gradients, and that's fine. But I'm going to ditch them for now. That is the gradients gone, but then there's some weird stuff going on here. So why is that background happening? Let's see if I can find that. Box top. That is really odd, isn't it? Is it this? Yeah, I don't know what that was. How strange is that? So this browse section, I wonder... Browse is a really weak word, isn't it? I mean, I would change that for a start, like job search or something, or find jobs. Don't know. I think that's better. Find jobs, latest job, find a job, find a job, find a job, find a job, or find your job or something would potentially work really well too. I just actually think this border that I've put on the top, it was done as a shadow, and it's kind of done as a kind of weak color, and I'm actually going to change it again. So I want to make it that strong red. If I do it here, we'll see what that looks like, and I'll just get rid of that. Yeah, that's a lot better. Something just kind of looked wrong. I don't know where that kind of washed out version of the color came from, but it didn't look right to me, so we've ditched it. Now, interestingly, so we've got these borders, these single pixel borders. They're okay. There's just a lot of lines going on around the place, and it can look really nice if you can just try to reduce that kind of thing. I mean, I could just remove all those borders. Another thing I could do is add a kind of background color to this whole content section. I'm going to go with that for now. So it's a really light grey. You can probably barely see it. But what that allows me to do is to remove these borders. Now, I'm not saying that borders are always bad, but there's certain just like trends. And I try to avoid kind of trendy design in general, because trendy design kind of by definition means that it's going to be dated. So like shortly. Okay, so that top one was okay because we had the background. So what I'm going to do, I need to put the background back in. Let me put the background back into these. So I'm just going to give it a white background. It's possibly a little bit too subtle. That grey, possibly. It might work. The background grey, I mean, it might work with a slightly darker one. It's kind of hard to get these right. It takes a little bit of time just fiddling about, just making sure so you can see there. I think something like that's quite good. What this is kind of exposed is something else, which is this shadow underneath this section. Now, I'm not entirely sure where that's coming from. Yes, I am. There we go, a bit cleaner again. And I just wonder if some of these could do with just a little bit of space above and below them. Like this job search one's padding. Let me just bump that up a little bit. So that find a job section, I'd probably do something even to bring that out even further. I mean, possibly reduce the width of it. I'm not sure, but I'm not a huge fan as it stands. I think I'd quite like to give this a little bit of space. Let me just see if I can do that. So it already has some space, but interestingly, there it is. I was going to say it's not obvious where, but it is. It's right there. I'm going to give that a bit more. Give each of those a bit more space. 20. I'm going to have to do the same to that, so it's all lined up nicely. So where's the space coming from on this? There. That's padding 20. Okay. I am liking this a bit better now. these icons are really ugly. They're kind of, I don't know if it's easy to see on the video, but they're really low resolution. And also they're not all the same width, so you get this weird indent with the civil engineering. So I am going to get rid of them. And I'm just going to do that one by one. It's going to mean those are slightly out of alignment, but I'll fix that in a second. Aspect. I'm gonna have to rename this series to 20-minute teardowns, aren't I? I'm not doing brilliantly well with my timings. This just has some padding left, so let's get rid of that. That should bring it all nicely into line. Those icons, they weren't good. Like I love icons. I especially love kind of custom icons, but those were just a bit tacky looking, weren't they? So I'm not really sure what's going on here with this box. Let's have a look at that. I think that's a bit weird looking. It really is a bit weird looking, isn't it? I think we can all agree. And then padding. But what I will do is I'll give it some margin. You'll come to realize that I love space. I love giving things lots and lots of space, room to breathe. Don't know why the title's all weird like that. Let's have a little look. I can just fix that. Don't know where this question marks come from. Probably just a weird character. Better. Okay. Liking it. I actually like it. I mean, as always, there's a lot more I'd like to do, but it's certainly getting there. Now this company image, I wonder if we should use the same blue border as above, but I mean, where do they get a 10 pixel border from? Let's at least reduce that to something sensible. And in an ideal world, this wouldn't wrap below it, so I'm gonna fake that. I would do this in a much cleverer way if this was my website, if I had more time, but that's a little bit tidier there. Potentially also those buttons could come across to line up with the text, but it's not the end of the world as it is. Let's just have a look at the text and see what we're dealing with in terms of font sizes and stuff. It's pretty small. Interesting. Do you know what's interesting? It doesn't actually look that small. So, yeah, interesting. I'm going to go line height 1.5. And this has happened again, so I'm just going to have to fix that again. But that's fine. I'll fix that again just by bumping up the bottom margin until that goes across. Right, so let's have a look at some of the other font sizes we're working with. So one of the things you want is to have as consistent kind of font sizing as possible. You don't want like 20 different font sizes all around the page. That is something I would definitely tidy up on this. But let's move on because we don't have time. Footer, I'd do more to this, but just for now, I'm going to bump that up significantly. I might just give it some bottom padding as well. Where's that being added on? Is that right at the bottom? Yeah, interesting. Okay, I'm going to get rid of that. And that's a bit better. This is all very tight and strange. Why is that? Submit, get free job alert 2019 in your email. That is some strange text right there. I'm just going to give it some margin top. Just give that a bit of space. Stay connected, fine, will do. Yeah, it's okay. The logos just generally don't work on anything except white, really, unless you've got like a reversed out like white version of the logo. it just tends to look a bit rubbish, as you can see there. So I would definitely look to change that, possibly with a white background for the footer. You can make it look like a footer by having a nice solid border as well. But that's all I've got time for. So I'm going to call it there. That is my much longer than 10-minute teardown for ljbrecruit.com. Love to know what you think. If you think that was an improvement, if you think I've made it worse, just let me know, and I'll see you again next time. Bye.